Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you early this evening, or about to be evening time in a moment. This is almost 7 p.m. in my time. So this is for Becky G's newest album, which it is an album review for Esquinas. Is how you pronounce it, Esquinas. I believe, if I'm pronouncing it right. It's her third Spanish studio album that I'm going to be reviewing. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for the follow-up to Esquinas, which was the last album that came out May 13th of 2022. But this is the follow-up to it, I guess. Something like that. So, and I'll let you know my thoughts on this 13-track album. So let's dive into this album review. Now it starts with Segundo, Chance, I believe, Segundo Chance, featuring Ivan Corneo. I think this song was solid. I'm trying to pronounce it in Spanish and in the right terminology, mostly. I'm trying to pronounce it right, mostly. So, basically, I think this was a solid track for what it went for. It's good in its own way. There are some moments where I feel the vocals sound alright, and the melody, it's pretty mellow, so you're in for just mostly nice Spanish singing music. So, pretty much 4.5 out of 5. Cries in Spanish featuring Danny Lux is a solid track. I thought it was a good track in its own way. It's not my personal favorite, but it actually is one of the highlights for the album too. 4.5 out of 5. Bien Canillo, I believe, if I'm pronouncing it right. The second time I pronounced it, I think was the right way to pronounce it. Bien Conijo is a solid track for what it goes for. It's good in its own way. It does have some execution flaws, for maybe one or two flaws in the track, that maybe the melody sounds alright, but not anything great. So 4.5 out of 5. La Nena is a solid track too. I don't hate it for how it sounds. I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5 too. There's some moments where it does alright and moments where it has its cringy points, but other than that, Becky G's vocals sound pretty good in it. 4.5 out of 5. Chanel is a decent track. It's one of the weakest tracks in my opinion for this album. I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I don't hate it. It's just the melody kind of sounds off to me and a little clustery with the melody. It's like produced not in a great way, but in a decent way. So 4 out of 5. Patras, I believe is how you pronounce it. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. I think this was another decent track. Becky G's vocals, I don't know if they connect very well, in my opinion, to making the track sound good. But overall, I think it's decent. 4 out of 5. Cuadradito, I believe is how you pronounce it, featuring Chiquez. Pretty much, they might be a Spanish girl group. I don't know for sure. I have to look into it. But basically, I didn't hate this song. Like I said, I gotta look up who Chiquez is, because I'm not familiar with some of the Spanish singing people that sing in Spanish and all that. It's just the celebrities and all that for that. I'm probably saying the wrong wording for it, so please forgive me if I am or not. I think it's a solid track. I don't hate it. I just vocally it sounds pretty good, but melody-wise, it has its hits and misses. 4.5 out of 5. Un Puno de Tierra is a solid track with how it sounds. I don't hate this track for what it goes for. It's just some hits some moments that I like the track, and some other moments where the track kind of falls short a bit, falls a little flat. 4.5 out of 5. Los Atros, Astros. If I'm pronouncing it right, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it very well. My Spanish speaking is pretty awful, to be honest, with how you pronounce it. So I think it's a solid track. It's good in its own way, just not really something I'm feeling for, but it's alright. So 4.5 out of 5. Boy on No More is a solid track too. When I mean solid track, they're good tracks in their own way. Just has its cringy points from time to time. But overall, I think Porion No More is a solid track. It's good in its own way. 4.5 out of 5. Porion Contrario, featuring Angela Aguilar, or however you pronounce it, and Leonardo Aguilar. Good track in its own way. I don't hate it for what it goes for. I think Becky G, Angela, and Leonardo sounded really good together in this whole track. So 4.5 out of 5. It's a good track. Then comes Cruz de Olvido. Another good track in its own way. It's getting close. This is like the second to last song before we get to the closing track, and it sounds pretty nice. So 4.5 out of 5. Querido Abuelo, I believe is how you pronounce it. I said Abuela by mistake. Pretty much, it's a good track in its own way, and it has a nice closer with them speaking in Spanish. But it sounds pretty nice for what it goes for. So 4.5 out of 5. Overall production, mixing, and execution wise, I think Becky G's Esquinas album was another average album in my opinion. I didn't hate it. It's just two of the tracks. Some of the solid tracks did bring the rating down a bit, but not excessively to the point where I hate it. I think the 4 out of 5 songs like Chanel and Patras were the weakest that did bring the rating down to the average rating I'm going to give it. So pretty much vocally it sounded not so bad. It's just I don't know if this is something I'm going to come back to as the remainder of the year goes on, which we're almost in the fourth quarter of 2023, the final quarter. So pretty much for a score for me, I'm giving Becky G's Esquinas album a 7.5 out of 10. Average album. I don't hate it for what it goes for. I just don't know if I'm a big fan of it. There's some tracks I could probably come back to, and some that are hit or miss or pretty iffy for me to come back to. So 7.5 out of 10 for Becky G's Esquinas album for this review. Thank you for watching this album review tonight.